Ever feel like your life is stuck in one long, humiliating loop you cannot escape? Same mistake, same pain, same cosmic replay button smashing your pride again and again. Congratulations. Without realizing it, you are already halfway inside Dante's imagination. Dante did not picture hell as random torture. He pictured punishment with perfect design. In his world, every sinner is forced to stare at what they truly became. Hell descends like a spiral, and every circle reveals a deeper moral failure. The sin and the punishment balance each other like a cursed scale of justice. This is Contrapasso, punishment that either mirrors your sin or mocks it perfectly. So here is the game. I give you the sin, disaster, or fatal mistake. You guess the punishment before Dante, or history itself, reveals the brutal answer. Because the most terrifying possibility is that the universe might actually be taking notes. Welcome to Level 1. Think in symbols. Think in irony. Think like Dante. First round. Gluttony. You lived like the entire world was one endless buffet. Not just food. Comfort, pleasure, laziness, excess, and anything that fed the craving. Appetite was not a weakness anymore. It became the king sitting on your throne. So what should hell do to you? Starve you forever or make you run? Dante says no. That punishment is too obvious and honestly not cruel enough. The gluttonous lie face down forever in freezing, filthy slush beneath a dead sky. Above them waits Cerberus, the three-headed nightmare of hunger, appetite, and animal need. Cold rain pours down until every memory of feasting becomes humiliation and disgust. The banquet becomes mud. The table becomes a pit. Pleasure becomes pure degradation. The greedy mouth becomes something ugly, beastly, uncontrolled, and impossible to satisfy. The consumers become the consumed, and that is the savage joke Dante writes. This is Contrapasso, not random pain, but a mirror held directly to the soul. Next sin, lust. You let desire drive, and you pretended it was love. You called it passion. You called it chemistry. You called it following your heart. But the truth is darker. Impulse had both hands on the steering wheel. So what punishment fits that life? Chains, fire, loneliness, or eternal regret? Dante chooses something stranger and worse. Motion without control, forever and ever. The lustful are whipped endlessly through a violent whirlwind that never gives them rest. They are tossed like helpless birds, caught inside a storm they cannot escape. Their compass spins uselessly, because in life, desire replaced reason and direction. They reach for control, but now the wind owns every part of them. Their private chaos becomes the weather itself, turning emotion into endless punishment. That is why Dante still feels dangerous. His punishments understand people too well. Level 1 is over. Now history enters the game, and it gets worse. Imagine Elizabeth I, the queen who built her power on flawless control. Smallpox leaves marks behind, but monarchy does not allow weakness to show. So the face is covered, the image restored, and vulnerability hidden beneath paint. White makeup promises beauty, distance, royal power, and the illusion of untouched perfection. Portraits turn the queen into something almost supernatural, smoother than any real human. Soon the mask is not decoration anymore. The mask becomes her identity. So what punishment fits someone who worships the mask more than the truth? The answer is brutal and simple. The mask slowly becomes the wound. The public statue shines, while the private body grows fragile behind the image. Hair, teeth, age, and rumor become part of the legend she cannot control. Even her death attracts Gothic whispers, unreliable stories, and poisonous historical imagination. A coffin rumor drifts through history like fog, half myth and half warning. The portrait escapes the frame, and the image no longer belongs to her. Vanity rots into legend. That is not just history. That is pure Dante. She reaches for the perfect image, but the image floats away forever. Dante writes the verdict clearly. The mask becomes the wound it tried to hide. Now picture a desert caravan approaching the gates of Otrar, carrying trade and trust. A suspicious governor turns a merchant caravan into a catastrophe of world-changing arrogance. One broken seal becomes more than a crime. It becomes an insult to the Mongols. Genghis Khan receives the message, and history itself seems to hold its breath. Envoys arrive with one demand, simple and terrifying: give justice for what happened. The Shah chooses arrogance instead of survival, and that choice becomes an empire's death. Pride rises above reason like a crown placed on a doomed man's head. The bridge of diplomacy burns behind him, and there is no easy path back. Then Genghis points west, and the punishment begins moving across the map. Mongol horsemen cross the plains like a human storm made of vengeance. Bukhara hears the alarm bells, but by then the warning comes too late. Samarkand falls under a darkening cloud, and the illusion of safety disappears. Urgench cracks like pottery under impossible pressure, a city breaking beneath pride. Even the irrigation canals begin to die, and the land itself becomes wounded. A proud throne dissolves into dust and sand, because arrogance has no foundation. Your empire becomes the apology you were too proud and foolish to give. The Shah is left alone with the desert, surrounded by everything he lost. Pride does not just kill the ruler, it kills the world he thought he controlled. Now for the modern round, a teenager opens a science book and sees possibility. In a backyard shed, something dangerous begins to glow behind ordinary suburban walls. Smoke detectors, lantern mantles, and strange parts become ingredients for a reckless dream. The thought is insane but seductive. What if I built a reactor myself? The table becomes a homemade laboratory, crowded with jars, wires, and warning signs. Invisible radiation spreads from ordinary-looking objects, which is exactly what makes it terrifying. Genius and recklessness collide in one notebook, and the line between them disappears. His private temple of genius rises in secret, hidden inside a simple shed. Then the temple turns into barrels of waste, and the dream becomes contamination. Cleanup crews approach the backyard experiment, because curiosity has crossed into public danger. 39 sealed barrels replace the fantasy of power, progress, and secret brilliance. A truck carries the mistake into the desert, far from the home where it began. The word power flips into contamination, and the dream reveals what it really created. The atom is trapped inside a hazard barrel, no longer a symbol of genius. He wanted control over invisible energy. Instead, he created invisible danger. Dante stamps the file with one final label: Modern Contrapasso. Final round. Deepest pit. No warm-up. This is where the story turns cold. A guest sits at your table beneath warm candles, protected by hospitality and trust. Trust reaches across the table like a handshake, fragile but sacred. Then the heart-shaped lock cracks, because betrayal destroys the place where safety lived. How do you punish a heart this cold, this empty, this false? Dante crosses out fire, because fire is too alive for this kind of sin. Cocytus waits below everything, the frozen lake reserved for treachery. Traitors are trapped at different depths in ice, each one locked inside betrayal. Ptolemaea is reserved for betrayers of guests, the ones who murdered trust itself. The soul falls into hell, while the body still walks above the earth. A demon shadow takes over the empty shell, wearing the traitor-like clothing. Even tears freeze across the face, sealing grief before it can move. The temperature drops to absolute emotional zero, where warmth and mercy cannot survive. Love, warmth, goodness, and human feeling vanish one by one into the ice. At the center, Lucifer himself is trapped, not in fire, but in frozen absence. The greatest traitors wait in the deepest cold, where all love has disappeared. A heart becomes a block of ice, because betrayal is the death of warmth. Some sins are not hot. They do not burn. They are empty. Even Dante looks disturbed by what his own imagination has created. The trapdoor closes above the frozen pit, and silence takes over. So which punishment actually felt fair, and which one felt almost too perfect? And which one made Dante seem less like a poet
Or is it fair?
and more like a nightmare?
Too far again?
History opens its own book, and somehow the punishments feel just as poetic. In 536, the sun itself seemed to dim over the world. Volcanic haze spread across the sky like a curse written in ash. Crops failed beneath a sky that forgot summer, and hunger followed the darkness. Empty bowls became the image of famine, because scarcity turned civilization fragile. Then plague approached from behind the darkness, as if history was not finished. In Sarajevo, one wrong turn placed a car in the wrong place. One car stopped in front of one assassin, and the world changed direction. A single spark leapt across Europe, turning politics into a chain reaction. Sometimes history does not just punish. Sometimes history punishes poetically. So be careful what you worship, because the universe may be taking notes. Follow and subscribe for more strange history that feels too perfect to be random.